Welcome to the Dark Ozarks. We are discussing the dark history of the Eastern Ozarks, specifically how Little Egypt in southern Illinois has surprising connections to the Ozarks and the Egyptian influence on Ozarks culture. We will get back to that in a minute, but first we want to remind you that the Dark Ozarks podcast is now available on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Substack, or about any other podcast platform. So many people may be surprised to hear that there are a number of Egyptian place names in the Ozarks. What do you think will surprise people about the connections between Illinois and the Ozarks?
I think people will be surprised that there are undeniable connections between both locations, but also that the origins of those connections have been mostly lost to time.
We will return to Little Egypt and the Ozarks, but first we want to invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to Dark Ozarks on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast platform. We also invite you to become a Dark Ozarks subscriber on Facebook. On the Dark Ozarks Facebook page, click subscribe, have your login information ready, and join Dark Ozarks behind the scenes for only $4.99 per month.
Your $4.99 per month subscription allows you to come with us on paranormal investigations, deep dive research, and topics too controversial for public view. The next 100 subscribers will be entered in a drawing for a free Dark Ozarks t-shirt and an exclusive signed first run copy of the book Dark Ozarks, The Spook Bite. Subscribe today to be entered in the drawing.
And now you can get Dark Ozarks t-shirts for sale at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com.
We encourage you to check out Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, in person and online on Facebook and at the website alwaysbuyingbooks.com for all of your reading needs, including a large section on the paranormal, history, and more. Not to mention, the building is haunted. Tell Bob and Elise that we sent you.
We also want to thank Beard Engine Brewing Company in Alba, Missouri. Beard Engine Brewing is the only English-style brewery in Missouri and has been twice named Missouri's best brewery by the Missouri Brewers Association. Great beer and great food in a historical building with a noir past. And yes, their building is also haunted. Tell Nate and Tip that we sent you.
Good stuff. And for Dark Ozarks tonight, both here on the short live on YouTube as well as our long format, we are discussing my home state, but a portion of my home state that is very different culturally than where I grew up.
Yes, Little Egypt and the rest of Illinois are kind of worlds apart, literally.
even more so than, say, the Ozarks. The Ozarks and, say, the Kansas City and St. Louis Metro, or the Ozarks and Northern Missouri, which do have obvious cultural differences, particularly when you get into the upper Missouri River, moving into Nebraska and western Iowa, those types of areas. However, Little Egypt, which is the lower, let's say, quarter, the low tip of the state of Illinois, which we think of as a wholly Midwestern state, as a great, a prairie state. We think of it as the Great Lakes state, an industrial state. We associate Illinois with Chicago. This is very different country.
It really is. Much more akin culturally and geographically with the Eastern Ozarks.
Absolutely. On many, many levels. And its location, particularly during the 1860s and shortly prior, placed it in a very unique space, a very unique liminal space, and a very unique confrontational space between essentially two slave states, in essence, Kentucky and Missouri, certainly the southern Missouri side. And during the war, and then being again bordered by the Ohio River, the Wabash River, and the Mississippi River. Of course, there's a lot of water magic that is implied with that, but just from a transit and geographical standpoint, a lot of people moving a lot of directions for a lot of reasons, and it really heightens violence, lore, magic, and superstition.
It really does. In fact, in such a limited geographical area, there are so many stories of magic, witchcraft, etc., that it's kind of surprising. More per square mile than most places in the South, really.
And then underneath all of that is the mystery of why is it called Little Egypt? And there are a lot of factors that play into it, but the more you dig, the less conclusive those forces become.
I think that is one thing that I found the most fascinating, is that we really don't know. In fact, the whole area was known for a very long time prior to being called Little Egypt. The Soldiers' Reservation, the old Soldiers' Reservation, which came out of basically Spanish and French territory times, as well as the American Revolution, that basically soldiers ended up escaping to that area to lose themselves, so to speak.
Consciously, it's not something that, again, that we typically think about of a Midwestern state or a state associated with the city of Chicago, etc. It's very fascinating and really speaks to the fact that culturally, the boundaries of culture and those separational lines are vastly different than state lines.
That's very true. And as time went on, then the idea of being Little Egypt was embraced, including place names. You don't get more Egyptian than Thebes.
No, you don't. And last spring, I had the opportunity to stop in. I am increasingly drawn to this area for research, and I had the opportunity to find Thebes, Illinois, on the Mississippi River. It's looks across to the Missouri hills, and it's a very unique place. The old riverboat landing space and what was originally the old town, there's not much left.
But it still has a spirit there, so to speak.
I certainly think so. And just to add to the chilling quality of the history itself, the river, as you stand there and you look out over the Mississippi River, and it's quite beautiful and very calming. And that the space that you're looking at, actually from Cairo almost to St. Louis, which was originally known as the Graveyard.
Yes. In fact, of what, hundreds of boat wrecks, I think?
133 steamboat were lost in that stretch of river.
That's kind of scary. If that's not enough to create a vibe and haunting, I don't know what would. Same.
There's just that aspect of loss and mystery, and there's certainly a nod. I think a fair nod to America's past, that the aspect of the references to Egypt could simultaneously be referencing the Book of Exodus, as well as ancient Egyptian mysticism.
Very true. And perhaps mystery is the real common theme with that area, from its origins to many other things. So we do invite everyone to check out the long video that will be uploaded tomorrow. We'll go into a lot more detail on a lot of interesting things. So don't forget to check out upcoming events and merchandise at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com. Thank you again to Always Buying Books and Beard Engine Brewing Company for helping to bring the Dark Ozarks to everyone.
On the next episode, we are going to be discussing the Ouachita's surprising dark history. Catch the Dark Ozarks podcast on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Substack, or about any other podcast platform. Thank you, everyone. And remember, there are no easy answers,